Welcome back, everyone. Have you ever wondered how something as simple as a GIF has become a major advertising tool? With tens of millions of active users, our next speaker gives us a glimpse of the rise of visual communications as a whole, as well as GIPHY's future expansion plans. Please put your hands together for the founder and CEO of GIPHY, Alex Chung.
This way? This way? I think I stand here. Hello, everyone. Okay, this is a little intimidating. The stage is so crazy. It's like Star Search. Don't vote me off yet. Okay, so let me tell you about a few things. Hello, right? Happy. Love. Excited. You've seen this one. And this weird Antonio Banderas thing that I don't really know what he's doing, but he seems pretty satisfied. So it turns out 100 million people right now are searching for all those words. We do 1 billion plus searches a day of people searching for the craziest parts of human expression. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. So that is what GIPHY is. Like people ask, what is GIPHY? Is it just a bunch of cat GIFs? What's going on the internet? So let me tell you exactly what we're doing. That's kind of why I'm here. So if Google is for web pages, that was 30 years ago. People still do that web page thing, I think. GIPHY is really about conversations. And if Google is a tool for you to search for things, facts and figures, places you're going to go, it really is like the library tool of the internet. GIPHY really is a conversation tool about finding reactions, expressions, everything that you would talk about in normal conversation and send along to your friends. So Google is really about going to the library and figuring out facts and figures, and I do that maybe I don't do that anymore because who really goes to the library anymore? But I go to the internet library of Google and I search for a few things. In GIPHY though, in terms of conversations, I spend most of my time, I guarantee most of you probably spend all of your time in messaging. And if you look at your screen time, it's probably all messaging. And so where is the tool to find content for your messaging? That's exactly what we've built. So if you're going to be in messaging, you have to be, our strategy was really be in every messaging app in the world, and we're pretty much now in every messaging app that you've ever seen. If you've ever sent a GIF, it's probably from us. We're integrated everywhere. What that does is it lets us really be the search engine for conversations. And let me tell you a couple things about this. It's when we were figuring out, if you're going to create a new, the question was really, how do you create a new search engine? And it turns out when we were doing studies on what people search for in Google, there's only about 1% of the entire human vocabulary that people actually search on Google. So there are a myriad of other words, the rest of the human dictionary that is open for search that no one has built a search engine around. So it turns out things like love, happy, Google knows nothing about those things. Human expression, things that have anything to do with sentimentality. No one searches hungry on Google, but those are common words. We know that because 100 million people right now are searching for love, hungry, expressive words. And those are things that there had never been a search engine for around. So if you're in the business of, the lesson here is, search isn't over. There is Google did not win it. There is 99% of all search that you can now go out and create a search engine for. YouTube did it for video. We did it for human expression. There should be thousands of other search engines doing all of the other words that people can search for. So where are we now? What is the search? So right now, after 6 years, we do at least 15% of the current search volume that Google does every day. And this is accelerating. And we know that we've been growing faster than Google did in the first 5 years. Why is this? Because, again, people are searching over 1 million words a day that have no context within Google search. We also do 100% of the YouTube views of GIFs. So the people watching, a number of GIFs viewed every day is more than, now it's 2 times more than the number of YouTube videos watched every day. And there's some reasons to that, and I'll explain why we're doing that. And also in terms of reach, so since we're integrated into every messaging app in the world, we can reach a superset of all apps. So we're actually in some ways bigger than Facebook, bigger than Snap, bigger than Instagram, because we can take a piece of media and deliver it to every person on the planet who's within the context of a messaging app. So this kind of distribution platform has never really been created before. So this gives us a lot of insights in what people around the world are searching for and looking for. So what are they looking for? Let me talk to you about a little bit about content. LeVar, he came into our studios to do some shoots. So we sent over 7 billion GIFs today. This is a wave pool in China. This is what summer vacation looks like in China. So 7 billion GIFs today, and the question is like, why? Like, how is that even possible? Like, what are people doing? That's so many pieces of media. That's probably, and that ends up, in some respects, being the largest media distribution channel on the planet. I think there are about 10 billion Facebook videos watched every day. So we're getting close to the number of entire videos watched on Facebook. So the things that we learned are, there's limited amounts of time. So we have 24 hours a day, and we don't really have enough time. And if you're like me, I'm on my phone all the time. I have to go to work. Work hours are getting longer. Time is getting shorter. I'm getting older, like running out of time. And so everything has to be short. But at the same time, we have unlimited content. So UGC was this promise to democratize all of content and bring all of this content back into the world, and that did a great job, but that also flooded us with all these hot dogs of content. We don't even know where they came from or who made them or if they're like legit or not, and like, would you really eat this hot dog? I don't really know. So the problem we're seeing is there's short amounts of time, shorter and shorter, and there's unlimited content to consume. So how do we deal with this? So all the content has to be shorter. Like, it has to be way shorter. We're talking, hour-long Netflix shows. You'll do that 1 hour a day, but what about the other 23 hours? I can't sit in front of Netflix. Well, I can actually, but maybe like 4 or 5 hours, like on a good day. But like Game of Thrones is over. Like, what am I going to watch? So you really have this other 23 hours where you have to consume content. You're on your phone looking at it. There's not enough. I can watch maybe 2 or 3 YouTube videos, but what about the rest of the time? So content has to get much, much shorter, and people are starting to embrace this. You see companies like Quibi and Bratz and other people, Snap Stories, starting to embrace the shortness of content. Also, it has to be entertaining. We found that the shorter and shorter content gets, the more and more people consume the content. Also, we see that if it's not entertaining, it could be the most interesting piece of content, but interest is totally different than entertaining. It has to be entertaining. Like, this is pancakes. I just showed you pancakes, and you probably thought this was cool because it was totally entertaining. To me, it was. So, like, if you have short, entertaining content, you also have to distribute the content to where people are. Right now, it's in messaging, and someday that may be someplace else. But you have to get content within messaging. Really, like, if you're a content company and you're not in messaging, that's where 80% of millennial time is spent talking to their friends. Then you're only getting to old people that don't do anything anyway. I'm one of them. So, like, if you don't believe me, this is what Mark Zuckerberg said. He said it multiple times in his earnings report. He said, hey, the future of Facebook is in private messaging and stories. This is all about private communication. It really is. And we're seeing that trend too, like the graphs you're seeing of people taking off. This is because we are a search engine specifically for stories and for private messaging. And this is where most people spend their time. So our focus is really about getting content into these contexts. Another thing that we learned is you think cats and UGC content would win, but it turns out at scale it doesn't. So if you're a UGC platform and you're putting out content and you're getting user content and it's free and you're like, this is great, it turns out over time that people don't like that content. Because when you have a world with unlimited content where all the content is a commodity, all of the branded content ends up winning. The NFL, the NBA, Saturday Night Live, those are some of our largest content partners. So more than cat gifts, more than any UGC, all the partners are the ones that are winning in this field. So it's a revival for branded content. You just have to make it short. So also, we're starting to see, I just threw this in because this is the one sign language I learned. We started doing a bunch of sign language GIFs and a bunch of informational GIFs. It turns out you can encode a lot of information in conversation. I send this to people all the time, and now I know burritos. I just wanted to show burrito. I don't really have a context for it. So now you all know burrito. If you got one thing out of this, you know how to sign burrito, which is totally handy. So let me move it. So the moral of that story is content has to be really short and it has to be entertaining, and that's what we're seeing. And it really is, if your content's over 15 seconds, no one watches it because attention span now is 12 seconds, if you didn't know. So like that's why no one watches pre-roll. I think I've watched one pre-roll longer than 15 seconds by accident. So talking about advertising and pre-roll, so we all have to agree advertising sucks. Like the entire notion of advertising on the internet is somewhat of a broken concept, right? So how advertising is right now, it's all about interrupt programming. So you're doing something and you're watching your show, and then this ad pops in and interrupts you from doing something. This is like your mid-roll in YouTube, your pre-roll, your post-roll. Pretty much every advertising campaign on the internet is about distracting you from what you really want to do. That whole model seems kind of ridiculous, but we just haven't come up with any other way to beat that. And so the problem also is with, Google AdSense was the most monetizable system on the internet, but what that did was put a casino and slot machine behind the internet. So now you're trying to get people to interrupt, but you need to get them to interrupt so many times so that people that's how you make your money as an advertiser or publisher. So the more people that click, the more money you get. And I realize this because my family, my aunts all hang out at the casino. And so if I want to go see them on Thanksgiving, I have to go to the casino, and they're there and they're clicking. And then I was on Instagram, and I was swiping and clicking, and they were swiping, and I was like, oh no, I'm just at the casino. I'm just at Instagram. But I'm not making any money. They're paying everyone. They're getting paid. So really, the internet has just become this weird casino. And advertising really is broken. And so what we're trying to do is figure out how do you make advertising not broken? What's wrong with the internet? The internet used to be this place that we were going to go and be free and run around, and it was like the new digital Garden of Eden. And now it's become this weird casino Vegas thing. And if you've ever hung out in Vegas for more than a day, it steals your soul, and it ages you because of all the cigarette smoke. So what do you do? We need some kind of solution for this. And what we found out is that it ends up being intent, and someone already solved this. So Google solved this for the web. Back then, there were banner ads everywhere, and Google said, hey, let's put a search box, and let's see what people are searching for, and then put an ad out. And so the first slot ends up being an ad, and ends up being kind of what you want. Now the first 15 pieces end up being an ad, and I'm not really sure where the content is anymore, but the mechanic is there. I'm searching, and I'm intending to do things. And what we're finding is product placement. Stories are taking over, cameras are showing up, and we're able to put content within the context of cameras and stories. So this is, this is some things we want, we end up doing billions of impressions in stories, and it's because people are searching for content to put into their stories to make their stories better. It turns out every time someone wants to bring an alcohol brand in, they want to bring a Corona in their beach shot. They're bringing brands and advertising into this context. So these two models are exactly what Zuckerberg was talking about, but they're no longer interrupt-driven. These are intent-based driven decisions. So what we're building really is this search for ads. It's weird that we only really search for ads during the Super Bowl. Why is that? Because ads are this dirty word that we've kind of assumed that advertising has nothing to do with content or with the brand. And what we found out through all our searches are that people actually search for brands. People are searching every day. When we see people searching for dunk, they're looking for LeBron James dunking the basketball. If they're searching for a burger, they're actually searching for a McDonald's burger or a Burger King burger. Or taco, they're searching for a Taco Bell taco 9 times out of 10, because it turns out when I'm sending you a representation of something, the branded content performs much better than the UGC content. So this was just a funny Bradford ad for JCPenney's. You think it's an ad, but it's just branding. So the key things that we learned from advertising is it has to be short. Your advertising has to be under 6 seconds. And then, people will actually pay attention to it. And it also has to be entertaining. If your advertising isn't entertaining, then it's not useful in it whatsoever. So the lessons we learned here from advertising, and this is over the last 2 years of doing advertising, is that interrupt-based advertising is a horrible thing, and we never wanted to get to it. You have to go from the intention. People are searching for hungry. They want to find your brand. Brands are good. People are searching for brands every day. They're not really searching for ads. If you can turn your ads into content, people will find it and they will send it every day. It has to be short. It has to be less than attention span because I don't have time to pay attention to your piece of content. And it also has to be entertaining. So we learned after 6 years that really there are only two reasons people come to GIPHY. One, they need to communicate. And what we found is there are hundreds of millions of people right now desperately trying, and we see the searches of what people are searching for, to connect with other people. So anything that connects people is really the platform of the future. This is where advertising, content, everyone should be. Something that is connecting people, letting them communicate with each other. Find that also that unless that communication is entertaining, it's totally useless. You could say the best, it's like watching someone's home videos. Like, it's just boring. Like, make it entertaining, and then people will pay attention. And thank you from Reddit. Those guys are awesome. That's it. Thanks.